What does being local mean to you? Hello, I'm Peter Knoll, the General Manager and CEO of Channel 11. For the West Tennessee PBS team, it means being as local as our funding allows. We don't sell commercials, we rely on your donations to bring you local programs and all PBS shows. Consider making a monthly donation to Channel 11 for just $12.50. For the cost of just one meal at a restaurant, you could help us be even more local. Donate today.
It isn't just about crowns and sashes. It's about character, service, and empowering the next generation of female leaders. Hello, I'm Julie Cook. On this edition of Tennessee is Talking, the topic is the Miss Volunteer America Pageant, a national competition in Jackson that combines beauty, brains, and a heart for service. Let the conversation begin.
We are rolling. Confirm record. Can we get a mic check? Check, check. Stand by camera 2. Take 2. Stand by announcer in 3, 2.
West Tennessee PBS presents Tennessee is Talking. Let the conversation begin.
Thanks for joining our discussion here on Tennessee is Talking. Hello, I'm Julie Cook. The Miss Volunteer America pageant does more than crown a winner. It cultivates leadership, volunteerism, and service. Here to tell us more is Emily Sparks, pageant co-director. Thanks for joining us. So many things to ask you about. I know the pageant is just before the state pageant.
Correct.
And
correct.
you and your family are co-directors of the state pageant.
Absolutely.
So now how does that work? They say it takes a village, and you could probably attest to that.
It does take a village. I couldn't do what I do without my mother and my sister, who I lean heavily on. But it does. But not just us, but the group of board members that we have throughout Jackson and West Tennessee that help us put on this pageant, it really does take a village. That is...
So your mom, Tammy Sparks.
My mom, Tammy Sparks, and then
dad.
my sister, Jenny Beth Vincent.
And Dad helps a little bit too?
Dad asked, what am I supposed to do? And we're just...
follows directions.
Follows directions really well. We tell him when to be and where to be. And if he's got to talk, I think last year we surprised him as he showed up to the pageant and said, "Oh, by the way, you're co-hosting a section of the pageant." And luckily my dad does a very good job of hosting events. And so he just stepped in real quick and I was like, sure, let's do this. So it's definitely a family effort.
So we did a few years ago, and it's kind of a long story, so we'll just, long story short, the Miss Volunteer America and Miss Volunteer Tennessee pageant was born out of a split from the Miss America pageant.
Correct.
Which it's still confusing to people that
Yes,
there
ma'am.
are two systems.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a lot of crossover, I guess, as far as your contestants, or were they like one system or the other better?
We are very fortunate in the state of Tennessee because that is where the volunteer system was born, hence volunteer. And so
this pretty much goes along what the traditional Miss America was.
Correct.
Before the changes.
What you watched growing up, the Miss America organization, that is what the Miss Volunteer America organization is. So is it confusing that there are two systems? Yes. And do we get crossover? We do. We cheer, if a girl comes to the volunteer system and goes, "This isn't for me," I have sent good luck text messages, or "We're so proud of you." We've sent stuff for girls that are competing in the America system. At the end of the day, there's a place for everyone. And these girls are growing as young women in either system that they pick. Now, obviously, we would love to have them in the volunteer system and what we do. But we do see a little bit of crossover. In Tennessee, we don't see as much as the other states do. Because a lot of the other states, girls that compete in the America system then come and do the volunteer system.
And so it was just, I think we skipped, or we weren't able to have it. There was COVID in there.
Yes, ma'am.
And getting organized. Of course, Allison Alderson from
So-
Jackson, DeMarcus,
Right.
and Jane Alderson, and there were a whole team of
Absolutely.
people, but a lot to do with those two, and especially Allison,
So-
is pretty much orchestrated.
Allison, when
most
we broke
pageants.
off, right? Allison, when we broke off, she said, "Okay, we're going to keep something going for these young women that maybe don't want to go to the other system." So she created the Miss Tennessee Volunteer Pageant, and it was just a pageant for girls. It didn't go anywhere, and then we hit COVID. Of course, it took Allison a year to convince me to step into this role. I kept saying no, but there's one thing you don't do is
Say no to her, yeah.
Say no to Allison. And so with COVID, we did skip a year, and then we came on the next year when we had our first
So
national pageant.
21.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was trying to
Yes, ma'am.
remember because it seems like it just
Oh, I
got
know.
here. But
So, a seamless transition from when we split to creating the Miss Tennessee Volunteer Pageant. And then people in other states who had the same feelings as Allison towards the whole issue was like, please start a national pageant.
But the scholarship money is still pretty
Oh,
phenomenal statewide.
The scholarship
and
money
nationally.
is phenomenal. And to be real honest, that's what some of these girls are here for. It is more than the crown and the sash. It's about continuing their education, getting their education paid for, and becoming better young women for their professional career, whether that's the interview part or the confidence part when they step on that stage. But we are very fortunate in Jackson. Jackson does a really good job of supporting what gives back to Jackson. And while, yes, we have the Miss Volunteer America pageant, the Miss Teen Volunteer America pageant, and the Miss Tennessee Volunteer pageant, those are two pageants funds that support scholarships. So we both raise money for our pageants, and Jackson does a really good job of supporting each and every one of us, even though we are two separate almost entities but one system. And the scholarship, I mean, I was talking to a girl on the way here. She was like, "Leanne, I've already got my job lined up. This is what I want to do, but I need the scholarship money." And, she knows that she may not win this pageant, and she may, you never know, but it's how can I become a better young woman, and how can I get my school paid for? So scholarship is a huge part, and that's really why we do what we do, is to help young women across the state of Tennessee.
I think there was a time though, because I used to do pageants many moons ago, and then judged. And there was a time when a franchise would really have a hard time, maybe getting 10 girls in a pageant.
Oh, I know.
And I don't really know what the upswing. I don't know if there's. I can tell there's definitely a difference in the pageant girls of today, because they are. It's kind of like a sorority.
It is.
It's very much
It's a sisterhood. That is,
yeah.
that is for sure, because you will see these girls and social media. You keep
yes,
keep up with
that's
these girls,
true.
and
And that's
you
probably a lot of it.
see they're in their weddings. They're there when their babies are born. Of course, I don't want to talk about that because then I feel really old. That girls that have been in this pageant are having kids, but creating the next generation as well. But it is like a sorority. It's a sisterhood where they come together, but you do see an upswing and a downswing, and I mean there's ebb and flows in everything, because you got to be dedicated to it. But I think the girl has changed. The typical beauty pageant winner that you thought of is not the typical beauty pageant winner now. You want that well-rounded individual that not only can go out and talk about your brand, but can market it, but also get down on the floor with the 3-year-old and the 6-year-old and read a book, and then turn around while she's on school tours and go to a Rotary Club and have a conversation with, a businessman or a woman. So you've got to have that.
It's more dimensional, I think.
Yes.
I know I had one put on something. I forgot what the question was, but she said, "Jeep hair, don't care."
Right.
I thought, yeah, they're they're country girls, they're city girls, they're
and
kids that do all kind of things.
we want those girls to come on the stage, and I preach to them. the first thing they hear from me when they get in Jackson is, don't be perfect. I'm not perfect and you're not perfect. The judges aren't looking for perfect. And a queen's not perfect. And we know that. So don't try to be something that you're not. Be you, authentically you. And that's what you want to see. That's what we want this next generation to look up to as a role model, because that's what these queens are. Whether they're the state title holder or the local title holder, they're role models to individuals, whether that is a little boy or a little girl. But you want them to be able to be relatable. And if you are the Barbie, quote unquote, sometimes you're not relatable to them.
Well, you talk to some and meet some, and then you get that one that's just comfortable in her own skin.
Right.
There's just something about a winner.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can tell a lot of times.
Absolutely.
Just the way they speak, the way they carry themselves, and it's not any kind of fake thing. It's just, and I think that's the hardest thing to overcome, because of course you're nervous.
Right.
What if somebody asks you, whatever, and the competition part is tough, because there is an investment, and there's an investment in your time and yourself and everything else. But there's just something about that person who's just comfortable in her own skin.
Absolutely.
That is going to take the cake every time.
Confidence is one of those things that's, you talk about being comfortable, is who's confident in what they're doing. It may not be the best, but if they're confidently doing it, then that they're putting their best self forward. And you talk about the pressure is, you've got those people in the audience, your parents, your grandparents, your siblings that maybe have sacrificed for you to be in this pageant, whether that is the wardrobe or raising funds for your serve platform. And so you want to not only do good for yourself, but for them as well.
So they have, as far as the categories that they're judged on, talk about that.
So first things that they do is they have a interview with the judges. So that is 25% of their score. And then they do preliminary nights, and they will do lifestyle and fitness, which is the swimsuit portion. And then they will do a talent portion, which is 90 seconds of a talent, whether that is singing, playing the piano, dancing, a monologue, sign language,
art.
We've had speed painting. We've had a lot of different talents, and each talent is different. Each talent brings personality, I think. And then obviously we have the evening gown proportion, and all of them are 25%, which makes up and how you get to the final night. And then what separates the volunteer pageant from most is what replaces your interview score that final night is a competency score. And so we want a well-rounded, so those judges are going, can this person do the job of said title? Yes or no? And they're given a score, and that's like their interview score. But they have a list of different, whether that is communication, whether that is social media, whether that is branding. And they've got a list of about 10 competencies that they look at for in each girl. And that's what replaces their interview score on the final night. So it makes up the 100%.
It seems like now there are more coaches available.
Yes.
For the pageant. Now how does that work? Because I'm sure you know some of the girls who work with them.
Yes. So there are pageant coaches. And, each girl is different. Each coach is different. And you've got to find that right fit. So not every coach is the right fit for every girl. Okay. And how they teach things. So just like in school, a teacher has to find a way to meet the student. A coach has to meet the pageant contestant as well, and vice versa, because that's the only way you're going to get out of it. And they have great one-on-one sessions, whether that is with walking, whether that is mock interviews, whether that is a talent coach. So there's a lot of different coaches, whether you are specifically on walking. Like I know several that are just walking coaches, some are that just interview coaches, some that are just talent coaches,
special area,
and they're in their specialty. And then you've got your fitness coach as well. So there's a lot of aspects in the word coaching and kind of realm of it. Some do it all, some specialize. But you are seeing that more and more. It's not a necessity, but that's really a great opportunity for girls to do mock interviews. So,
Are there, I wonder if there are trends that, there's certain gowns that go through.
right,
Sometimes they're very elaborate and then they scale down and go with
right.
a simpler look. Are there
Well,
trends as far
it's
as
funny you say that because
competition goes?
if you go to the Miss Tennessee room where all the portraits are hanging in the Carl Perkins Civic Center, you see a trend of it was you either wore a neutral, a white, or a champagne colored.
Yeah.
And then we hit the volunteer system, and it has been green, it's been red, it's been black. And so it has been a colored dress, which is so funny because you say, what is the trend? Used to, like, you had to wear that neutral color to win. I know that when I talk to the judges, I don't tell them they got to wear this colored dress. Show your personality with it. And that's what we tell the girls as well. But you do see different trends. And I love to look at a gown that somebody may have created, or, the perfect gown may be the one that they walk in and it's standing on the rack. It doesn't have to be the custom dress, because as long as that girl feels the best in it, it's $1 million on the body.
I think that's the most fun part. Because I
Right.
love the talent, but I'm just thinking, that dress. That dress.
I
Oh,
always
that,
say,
you
don't
know,
let
that seems like where that's the real
Right.
That's the real.
don't let the
competition.
dress wear the girl. The girl wears
True.
the dress.
True.
And that statement means don't go buy the most expensive dress to think you're going to win. You wear the dress that you feel the best in. And who knows?
And this, I was just watching Say Yes to the Dress.
Yes.
And there was a girl who had won several pageants, and her mother came out. She came out and she said, that's a pageant dress. That's not a wedding dress. And they finally had to talk her into it. She said,
Right.
I guess this is kind of my last.
Yeah.
But she said, you're grown up now. You're going to be a bride. And then she came out in the bridal dress. And
I love
it's
it.
funny because we were talking about this today. I want to talk about, too, there are 5 points to the crown. And people may not really know this right offhand, but that does stand for something.
Okay, so the 5 points of the crown spell out serve. So it is scholarship, education, responsibility, volunteerism, and then empowerment. And so when you look at those 5 points of the crown, that's really what we say, hey, judges, this is what we want in a young lady. Are they serving their community? Are they serving their state? They have educational goals in maybe secondary school or finishing their degree. What are they doing in their community as well? Volunteerism. Are they responsible? And then I think the biggest one is, how can I empower a young woman, and how does that young woman empower the next generation and or myself? Because just because this young lady may be younger than me doesn't mean that she can't empower me and you. But the winner, Miss Tennessee Volunteer, is the governor's spokesperson for character education. So she goes out into the schools and talks about character education as well. And so the empowerment part of serve is really, can they do that?
I think a lot of people don't realize what a hectic schedule that is.
No,
it
it's
really
not.
is.
I actually
through
talked to Hannah on the
12
way here,
months.
and she was getting ready for a mock interview with her local director, who still, gives back to her. But she was like, okay, I've got to go. I'm talking to myself. I'm going through my answers. And I was like, perfect. Have a nice day. Let me know how it is when it's done.
The directors for the local pageants.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to talk about that because there may be some people who may be interested in a
Right.
franchise or getting involved in the pageant system.
Right.
That's a big responsibility.
It is a big responsibility. So each local gives their winner each winner $500 scholarship. Like, that's the minimum that they have to do.
Does director raise that money?
Yes, they raise that money, and then there's also a franchise fee, obviously, to be in the system as well. And so it does take a lot for a local, whether that's getting sponsorships or donations, different things like that. But by the time you get the crowns and the sashes and the franchise fees and the scholarship, it does add up. And I'm very thankful for my local directors. we wouldn't be a pageant without them. They are the backbone of this organization, and I give them credit when I can, because they prepare these girls for state, and which helps me prepare the girl for the volunteer national pageant. But they never stop giving back. They're serving as well in a different capacity than these girls, because they're helping mentor and be role models for the winners as well. So not only are the 5 points of the crown for the contestants, 5 points of the crown are local directors, myself, our board
Pretty
members,
much everybody involved.
everybody involved, hits those 5 points of the crown.
So with the national pageant coming up, that'll be Miss Volunteer America, and that is June 18th through 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
Right here in Jackson, Tennessee,
Yes,
which we're
ma'am.
very proud of. What is the preparation? Do they start a few months out and just concentrate on that and maybe stop some of the travel to get ready for that national pageant? Or how does that work? Because they do have a hectic schedule.
Yes,
during the
ma'am. They
year.
have a hectic schedule. So used to, it was the national pageant was earlier, and so you prepared for 6 months, got the girl ready, went to the
Yeah, because it
national
was kind of a
pageant.
pageant season where
Right.
all the
And
state
then,
pageants and then
and then afterwards, it was hit the road on your school tour. Now it's a little different because you've got to keep them engaged for a year, which is a good thing because they've got a year to raise money. They've got a year to prepare for different skills, whether they need to fine tune an interview or let's choose a song. But preparation really starts day one.
Yeah.
Because we sit down and we were like, okay,
first day you get your state title. in
first
other
day you get your
words,
state title. Here's the plan. And girls have plans of what they want to do when they win that state title and how they want their year to go. And so that's a big thing too with the volunteer system is what is your goal? What is your plan? How are you going to use this title? And how are you going to brand this system? But really, I guess probably since January, Hannah's been doing a few visits here and there, but really we're working on talent. We're working on walking. We've done mock interviews. So January is really when you start gung ho, and then just each month gets a little bit more intense. So
These, both the pageants, and I'm guessing the national because you have more people traveling, but
Right.
economically, it's really a boom for Jackson.
Oh, it is. It is a boom for Jackson. You have people from all over the country coming in for the national pageant. I mean, I never thought I would go. I have friends in Virginia and Washington and Alaska and Hawaii that at a drop of a hat could help me do whatever I needed, and the connections that we make. But what they bring to Jackson and what these pageants give back to Jackson is just unbelievable. Fortunately for the Tennessee pageant, I try to keep these girls in Jackson, whether that is, hey, we're going to have our workshop here in Jackson. We're going to do this in Jackson. I want our local title holders and people coming back, the Sparks family, we love to come and eat. And so we always, when we have the opportunity, we're coming to Jackson. We're giving back, not only pageant week, but all year. And so that's what I hone in on our local title holders is do what you can in Jackson. They give to you, you give back to them.
We've just got a couple of minutes. It's gone by so fast, but we want to remind everybody the dates of the Miss Volunteer America is first.
Yes, June 18th through the 21st at the Carl Perkins Civic Center. And then Miss Tennessee Volunteer is July 23rd through the 26th.
It's a state pageant. Their Facebook pages and websites for both of those.
Absolutely. Right. And that's also at the Carl Perkins Civic Center. And that is my home away from home.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. You probably have your own room up there somewhere.
Oh, we do.
So what do you say to a girl who is on the fence who would really like to get involved, even maybe need some help, who wants to take that leap? Because it's very intimidating for some folks.
It's a very intimidating talk. Reach out, ask your questions. Don't be scared because of what you see on the stage. and think you're not good enough. You are. You're good enough if you are confident enough to get up on that stage and you are confident enough to be who you are. You can do this. But don't be intimidated. Ask questions. We would love to talk to you, and really settle anything that you may be concerned about, or you see this, but you're not really ready maybe for the two-piece swimsuit. That's okay. Wear the one piece. It You're fine. If you can't get the $1,000 dress, that's fine. As long as
I mean, how
you
many people borrow
borrow
so
dresses.
much?
It is fine.
Yeah, where there's
And
a
we
will,
have
there's a way.
we have a
where that
wonderful
goes.
sponsor that really helps girls that may not have the
The
means.
dresses. That is wonderful.
And so don't let that hold you back. We
So there. Now, how did they get in touch? We just got a couple of
got a
seconds
couple minutes.
left.
You can go to our website, MissTennesseeVolunteer.net. There's a link on there that will email us, or official Miss Tennessee Volunteer at gmail.com.
So get
Or
in
Facebook
touch.
or anything, social media, Miss TN Vol on Instagram.
If you're thinking about being on a stage, that's
Yes, come on.
You never know. You never know how you're going to shine until you get under that.
Yes, ma'am.
That light. But we are out of time. Emily, thanks so
Well,
much.
it was fun being here.
Emily Sparks is one of the co-directors of the Miss Tennessee Volunteer Pageant, and we thank you for coming from Union City today
Yes, ma'am.
to be with us on Tennessee is Talking. So don't forget Miss America Volunteer in June, and then Miss Tennessee Volunteer is in July. And if you want to rewatch the program or share it with a friend, it can be streamed anytime on the PBS app, along with all local Channel 11 programs. You can also watch it on westtnpbs.org. Keep the conversation going by following West Tennessee PBS on social media. Until next time, keep on talking, Tennessee.
The program you've been watching was made possible through the generous financial support of West Tennessee PBS viewers like you. Please visit westtnpbs.org and make a donation today so that we can continue to make local programs like this possible. Thank you.